everyone, welcome to your practice. Grab a couple blocks and a blanket and you should be good to go for today. So you're going to start by rolling your blanket from one short end to the other short end into a nice thick tube. And if you are really tight through the front of your chest, front of your shoulders, then you may decide that you want a block nearby, and if that's the case, just keep one of your blocks near the head of your mat. If you feel like that's not you right now, then you may not want the block, so you could keep them both kind of out of the way at the bottom of the mat. And otherwise, you're going to go ahead and lay down once you're ready. So I might use a block here for this. Okay, and then if you're someone with the desire to have the block behind your head, you'll just sneak it in there so you have a little bit less opening across the front of your throat, but maybe what the support provides is more important for you today. Okay, you can have your feet grounded as wide as the mat, tense your knees in towards one another. Pelvis is going to stay heavy. Arms can reach wide into kind of a soft cactus shape. And you might like to just stay there. Okay? Alternatively, you could interlace your hands, make a steeple with your index fingers, and then send your arms alongside the ears, reach your elbows long, and allow that kind of stretch of the arms to create more length along the front of the body. Okay, wherever you are, send your breath deep into the abdomen to begin. Two more cycles here. If you're someone that opted to interlace your hands, just switch your interlace. You have the opposite pinky and thumb on top, and then again stretch the arms once more alongside your ears, really opening with the breath here, the front of the ribs, front of the belly. And then release the arms. You can just gently press yourself up, either by rolling through to one side or coming up through center, if that's what feels easiest for you. And slide the block now, if you were using it, out from behind your head. Have the blocks near the back of your mat for the time being, just they'll be out of the way in that way. And you're going to lay with your left ribs, kind of the bulkier part of your rib cage as opposed to the waist or your armpit, on your blanket. Okay, your left arm out in line in front of your chest. Your head can kind of just rest down. And then tightly gather your knees in towards your torso. Okay, as tightly as you can. Right arm will rest on top of the left. So you're going to keep your knees tucked in nice and close. And just start to trace the arc of a rainbow, okay, over the top of your mat, okay, gradually rolling towards the back of your head as you open your chest and that right arm reaches wide. And then you're just going to retrace that rainbow shape. So it's just a semicircle. It's not a full circle of the right arm. Okay, just a rainbow arc up and overhead, over the head of the mat, moving in and out of this twist. Mobilizing through your right shoulder, mobilizing the spine, through your ribs. You get a nice little massage of the left rib cage with that blanket roll underneath it. And while you're doing this, endeavor to keep your right fingers as close to the floor as possible and the right arm as long as possible. One last time, opening the chest and pausing here as you exhale. You could take the left hand outside of the right knee if you'd like. Press your breath into the lower back, the right kidney. And then with your next exhalation, you can close off that twist by rolling onto your left side. Again, press yourself up using your hands and just switch sides. So you're gonna lay with your right ribs on the blanket roll. Your right arm out in line with your chest, knees gathered up in nice and tightly towards your torso. Head resting down, left arm over right. And then keep your knees tucked in nice and tightly as you start to trace the left arm around in space. Okay, and you might find that if you're really, working to keep your left hand close to the floor and keep your left arm mostly straight, that you won't open quite all the way. It's like you won't quite trace that 180, or that half circle, if you will, with the rainbow arc. It might be like 3/4 of a circle, right? Especially if you're, tight through the shoulders and tight across your chest, tight across your upper back. Okay, but gradually here, as you kind of move through this, you might find just a little bit more mobility, or it might just start to feel a little bit less intense, right? Even if you're not necessarily seeing the difference in terms of what your range of motion is, perhaps that range of motion just becomes a little more comfortable. And the next time that you arrive there, open with your chest, just pause. Take a few breaths in your spiral. If you'd like, you add the weight of the right hand outside of the left knee. After your next exhalation, and unwind, press yourself up using your hands. And then you can just reset the blanket off to the side and take a block, one of your blocks between your inner ankles, just for some support. If you want to have the second block near the top of your mat, that's a great option. But block between your inner ankles there. Okay, so a little bit of medicine for your shoulders here now, hugging your ankles into that block. Palms grounded underneath your shoulders. Make sure you're not sinking through your chest or through your lower back. Okay, so you want to think of bolstering the front line of the body up, almost like there's a seat belt running from one hip to the opposite shoulder on both sides. Okay, and then right arm is going to swim around to your lower back, but before you do that, let your left palm come in line with the center of your chest. Okay, with right hand wrapped behind you, cow your spine here. Take your inhale, and again, we're trying not to collapse in the lower back or in the shoulder area. Round as you exhale. So essentially a one-armed version of cat and cow. And because you've just got the one arm to work with here, you'll be more mindful, especially I would say in cow, that you're not collapsing. Okay? And you'll be more mindful in cat that you're really pressing through that left palm and really lifting the back line of the body. Do one more. Find neutral in your spine again. And then twist to your right, keeping the right arm around the lower back. Think of lifting your left hip up into the right fingers. So again, you're looking for some movement through your thoracic spine, through your ribs here. And go ahead and release your right arm up high. Take a full breath in. And then land your right palm down in line with the center of the chest. Okay. Left hand will come around to your lower back. Again, mindful that you're not sinking in the shoulder or sinking through your abdomen. Cow your spine as you inhale. Round through cat as you exhale. A few more like this, and it's totally normal if this feels way more challenging, right? So take your time, see if you can go slow, be very intentional with your movement. And last one. You'll find a neutral spine with your next breath in. And then keeping the left hand around your lower back. From there, really push through the right palm, spiral your chest to the left. Okay, and again, it's not going to feel like a big movement. It may not even look like a big movement. That's okay. Keep lifting your right hip up into your left fingers behind you. Take one more deep breath in, nice and long through your spine here. And then free your left arm all the way up. Take your inhale. In return, your left palm down. Now sit back onto that block. If you need more height underneath your pelvis, go ahead, bring the second block in. And you take your arms out in front of you here and make tight fists with your fingers wrapped over your thumbs. Your elbows long, and just point your knuckles down in space. And then up. Okay, down and up a couple times with your knuckles. Arms at about shoulder height, tight, tight, tight fists. And then circle your wrists around in space and try to keep the eye of the elbows pointing towards one another. Okay, so isolating the movement in the wrists. And you'll just switch the direction. Trying not to let the whole arm go along for the ride, but being really, again, particular here. One more breath. Release your hands all the way up. Take your inhale. Side bend up and over towards your right. Here you can land your right hand down and push into your right palm so your left hip gets heavier on your block. You take another full breath in here in that left side. And then left hand can circle down outside of the right knee. Catch on to that. Lift your chest all the way up again and twist your right arm back in space. One more inhale here in your twist. Right arm is going to come up alongside your ear on your next breath in. Cross the right arm over the left arm and then round your chin to your chest, send your spine towards the space behind you. And so elbows long, you're kind of hanging back from the grip of your hands. And you'll keep your elbows crisscrossed, but release your hands. Either hold on to your shoulders or take eagle wrap of the arms, curl your torso all the way up. And lean back on your exhale. And one more cycle of breath. And wind your arms, reach them high, breathe in, side bend up and over to your left this time. So you land your left hand down, push into the left palm so that you can heavy the right side of your seat. Deep breath in. And circle the right hand down outside of the left knee, draw your torso upright, and twist your left arm back in space. And you'll resist your left leg out into your right palm. And the left arm will come up alongside your ear as you inhale, square your chest forward. Cross left arm over right, chin to your chest, round your spine backwards in space. And you find the eagle wrap of your arms, either half or full. Lean up and back as you exhale. One more deep breath here. And wind your arms, reach them high, take your Inhale. And then you can lower your palms down. Shift through your hands and knees. Clear the block that is behind your seat. And tuck your toes for a moment to take downward facing dog, just so that you can pedal out your legs and open the back of your knees for a brief moment. And then go ahead and make your way to lay on your back. And you'll bring one of your blocks with you. Once you land on your back, ground your feet. You prop your pelvis up in a supported bridge pose. Okay, so block underneath your sacrum. I'll suggest the lowest height, but you could work one level above that on the second height. You want to make sure your lower back feels comfortable there. You might catch the sides of the mat and kind of pull out so you can tuck your shoulders in underneath you. Okay, and then from there, let your pelvis stay heavy on your block. I'm going to send your right leg up. Take a full breath in. And figure for the right ankle to your left knee. You're going to think of the right ankle kind of catching onto the skin of your left thigh and stretching that left thigh further towards the back of your mat. If you notice your pelvis kind of rolling towards the right here, think again the back of both sides of your hips equally heavy onto that block. And if this is enough for you through that right hip, you'll stay here, or you draw your left knee towards your chest. Okay, and you could use just the weight of your left thigh, kind of resisting into the right ankle to bring that figure four like shape of the right shin towards your collarbones. And make sure your chin isn't collapsing into your collarbones. And make sure your lower back isn't collapsing down towards the mat. So pelvis is still heavy on your block. Last breath. You'll stand your left foot down. Send your right leg up in space once more, breathing in, just resetting the knee. And then keep that right leg long, lower it all the way down towards the floor, right? Or it might hover slightly. If you need to bend the right knee, that's fine. And draw your left knee towards your chest. Okay, if you want to lace your hands behind your left thigh or over your left shin, that's an option. Keep pressing down through your right heel. Invite your breath to kind of just open along the front of the right hip. When you're ready, the right foot will stand down. You can release your arms down, left leg up, flex your left foot. Figure for the left ankle to the right knee. Okay, and again, if your hips are really tight and you have a tendency to let your hips kind of roll to the left so you get the illusion of that left knee being further open, prioritize your pelvis being grounded equally through both sides, even if that means your left knee, right, isn't all that open in terms of the width there. Not a big deal. Okay, if that's enough in your pelvis, then that's where you'll stay, and otherwise the right foot comes up off of the floor, and as the right thigh comes closer towards the right shoulder, right, that figure four shape is drawn towards your chest. Again, just be mindful of the upper back, lower back collapsing, and keep them supported. And breathe into your left hip. Breath in. As you exhale, release your right foot to stand down once more. Left leg will go all the way back up to the ceiling. Flex your toes. Lower your left leg down so that it remains mostly straight. Again, if you need a little bend, no big deal. ground your left heel and draw the right knee towards your chest. Perhaps you place the hands behind the right thigh or over the shin. A left heel into the mat is important so that you can energetically think of pulling that left leg back towards your head. And last cycle of breath here. And then go ahead, release the knees in towards your chest. And notice as the knees come in closer to your chest, your lower back rounds. So can you heavy your tail down into that block? Send your legs up for a moment. Maybe you circle out your ankles a few times. To come out of this, you can return your feet down one at a time. And ground them so that you can pick up your hips, slip the block out from underneath, snake your spine down. And just roll over onto either side. Come up to a seated position, and you could sit either on your folded blanket or on a block. I find the block is a little bit too high for where we're heading next, for me anyways, so I prefer the blanket, but you could use both. You could use either. And once you've found a comfortable seat, any shape in your legs that you'd like, you'll plant your right fingers down into the mat, in front or beside you, doesn't really matter, and bring your left hand onto your heart. You could close your eyes. You could also simply look down, relax your face. And as you breathe in here, imagine the breath, right, drawing a calm and grounded energy up, right, from the earth beneath you through those right fingers. And as you exhale, feel that energy, right, calm and grounded, settle through the palm of your left hand down through the center of your chest, right, symbolic heart, through your body. And you're just repeating that cycle with each cycle of breath. So inhaling through the right fingertips, drawing that calm, grounded energy of the earth up into your body. And exhaling through the palm of your left hand, inviting that energy to pour into you through your center, anchoring you in space. And 3 more breaths like that. If you wish to stay with that practice for a little longer, remain as you are and spend as much time breathing here in space. Otherwise, simply rest the right hand over the left hand. You can release a sigh or a yawn with your next exhalation. Thank you very much for your time, your efforts here today. Namaste.